Loneliness just an experience. Like every experience, it's transient, temporary. It's not permanent. When you're in the thick of it, and loneliness feels so cold, constricted, tight, like it's never going to end. And it was only through going through a massive breakup that I experienced physically being alone as an adult woman. And I had to confront all these different beliefs that had just been like a little drumbeat into my brain and my body as this familiar thing about what loneliness meant. I thought loneliness meant I was broken, that I would never feel understood by another human, that something existed outside of myself that could heal the way I felt. I completely misunderstood loneliness. I've been able to meet loneliness in a completely different way that's transformed my experience of it through stories, psychology, neuroscience, and spirituality. Loneliness is not who you are. It's an invitation, a signal. So instead of saying, I am lonely, there's a clue in that. And the clue is in the grammar. I am lonely. I'm creating an identity, a rigid, static thing that I have to hold myself to. Instead, I notice the feeling of loneliness arising. I'm feeling the experience of loneliness. Loneliness is present. Loneliness is here. There's spaciousness to remember. We are not our emotions. We are not our experiences. So it's that analogy of every emotion, experience, thought, there are clouds through the sky, and you are sky. So instead of saying, I am lonely, i.e., that's the identity, I notice feelings of loneliness. It's the cloud. And then I get to interact with it. I get to see what qualities it holds, constantly changing. Then it's going to pass. And then, oh, I'm noticing joy arising. And I get to interact with that or just be present and open and receptive to what is going to be offered. The gift that we have is where we put our attention and how we interpret where we're putting our attention. Children don't reflect, interpret. Children are inherently curious. They just experience. Imagine a child in a room. They're left alone for the first time. It's unfamiliar. So you might see initial restlessness. Eventually you start exploring. They access nature-given gift of curiosity. Whereas adults have these self-protective mechanisms. We think we already understand what words mean. We can't remember who taught us the word. It's just there in our memory. That is dangerous because we're not using the reflective parts of our adult brains. Everything is fluid. Your self-image, feelings, emotions, experiences are all changing. They hold different frequencies. Life is a stream flowing down a river on a mountain. Some parts choppy, windy, bendy. Some flowing, gentle. Other parts more transitory, a waterfall. But at no point do we ask for a car to get out of the river. Be like, oh, I'm not vibing with this part of the river, so could I just get collected? I'd like to be dropped off down where it's happiness, joy. We don't have to resist our experiences, but we're not taught what these things are. Whereas image of a willow tree versus a more rigid branch tree during the winter. The willow tree catches snow, and because it's all flexible, once the weight builds up, the snow just falls off. But for the more rigid tree that tries to hold its shape and its structure no matter what the weather, it's more brittle and it breaks and it's rigid and it feels that way and sharp. So it's up to us. Do we want to experience more soft, flexible, porous, interconnected understandings of life? Or are we going to stay rigid and static? Most people run away from being alone, sitting in silence, unstructured time for their entire lives. And that's not wrong. It's just one state and frequency of experiences. And if you're curious, if you're like, what does this have to offer me? So if loneliness was a friend in this room, what would loneliness be trying to tell you? Why is loneliness here? The quality of the questions that we ask ourselves shapes the quality of our lives. We're designed to be curious, not paralyzed and fearful. What if it's inviting us to something deeper? Loneliness, connection, yin yang, dark light, positive, negative. Everything in nature has a seeming polarity, But those things also connect to each other inextricably. Silence isn't the opposite of sound. It creates contrast, it creates differentiation. If all we ever heard was sound, it would just be noise. We need the silence to create structure, spaciousness, because everything in nature is spaciousness. We are mostly just space. Try listen to whatever sounds are going on right now and see if you can notice the silence in between those. Take this phrase: before there can be two, there must be one. So thinking, oh, I'm alone, I need a connection with others. Loneliness, it's actually inviting in connection, self to self, authentic connection with who you are, drawing attention to questions like, where am I disconnected with myself? Where am I hiding, filtering, silencing myself? Where could I be more present with my feelings, with my energy levels, with preferences? Loneliness, it's inviting ourselves to deepen our relationship with the only person we're guaranteed to spend the rest of our lives with, ourselves. Cute. Everything starts from here. This is such a tender thing, but that's why you can be in a crowded room or sitting next to someone and feel completely alone. And if that thought comes up, the invitation isn't to personalize, victimize. It's just to say, why? What am I hiding, filtering, silencing? Bring light and awareness to that. And then what am I thinking will happen if I am myself? If being your authentic self comes at the cost of people not being pleased or walking away from a relationship with you, that's worth it. But I know it's scary. I know it's scary. Somewhere along the way, a belief got set up that discomfort of not being myself is safer than being myself and getting rejected for that. If we silence ourselves, filter, wear a mask in order to be liked or control an outcome, then the connection we have will never feel fulfilling. They'll never feel nourishing because we're disconnected from ourselves. Paradoxically, the more that we chase connection, the more that we grip it or try to cling to it tightly, desperation, the more that it moves away from us. If you've ever tried to force a relationship or a friendship or be liked, people can feel that. It's almost like they can feel you're wearing a mask. So there's two masks meeting, but like never actually having connection. Intimate connection is vulnerability. It's about showing up and being like, here I am. This is me. These are my preferences. These are my desires. This is my energy. Take it or leave it. Because something along the way got set up that I wasn't valuable unless my connection, my character was validated by other people liking me. And just have compassion for those aspects. Even when I'm performing, can I have love for myself there? How can I accept what I'm noticing completely with unconditional love? Then reflect. Okay, my attention is here and I'm holding that. And now I'm reflecting, I'm asking other questions. And then I get to make different choices. Someone said to me, you're looking out at a bunch of trees. How many trees are there? I said, oh, there's 3 trees. Okay, what if I lifted up all the ground soil? You could see the root systems are completely interconnected, no end, no beginning. How many trees would you say there were then? And I was like, I was like, whoa, it's just one tree with different unique expressions. In the same way, a wave doesn't feel lonely because it knows that it's ocean. It's not resisting peaks and troughs to rise and fall. It doesn't differentiate between any of those different states of being and say one is better or like more valuable or less valuable than the other. The boundary is an illusion. If you were standing here, we'd be able to see those interactions. Bodily fluids are in the air. And then we'd say, where's the boundary between us as humans? A lot of times people confuse identities as static, looking in front of the mirror, thinking self is sealed in the skin or trapped behind our eyes. But where does it end? Skin, hair, skin is porous. Loneliness is a feeling, not an identity. It's temporary. Solitude is the doorway. Chasing connection creates distance. We are not static objects. We are not nouns. We are fluid. Acknowledge what you're noticing. Remember that language is really important. Reflect, ask new questions. Where can you offer what you're seeking outside of yourself to yourself first? And then where do you want to put your attention? So choice, power. Show up to experiences, open, receptive, whether you're alone or you're with people. See what happens. Again, notice. It's just these beautiful gifts that we've been given, and we've just forgotten how to use them sometimes. But I think these are important questions to ask, and remembering that loneliness is like the silence within music. Loneliness is like the ocean for wave or space for stars. It's there, it's supporting us. And it's a reminder when I feel it that I'm being inherently supported and that I'm deepening my relationship with love. When we meet it with curiosity, with patience, with presence, it offers an opening, it offers a doorway to self-understanding, to live a more authentic life, to feel confident to be yourself, no matter what the circumstance. Thank you so much for watching. If you're a curious person and you like to explore spirituality simply and in a conversational way, then I invite you to subscribe. And any feedback, I would love to hear. I would love to hear. Any feedback, I would love. Any feedback. And any feedback, I would love to hear from you, or if something resonated, I would love to hear that as well.